Now it's time for America's Talking with headlines from across the country. And be sure to go to the website, thecentersquare.com. Click on newsletter, give us your email address, and you will get these and plenty of other headlines from across the country in your inbox every day. So sign up today at thecentersquare.com. All right, let's start in California, where a legislator's investigation into hospice fraud in the Los Angeles area shows almost 300 licensed hospice providers are tied to a small number of addresses. The Center Square's Madeline Shannon reports the probe, which reportedly includes an empty Los Angeles building that supposedly houses hospices, comes as a U.S. House committee investigates hospice fraud in California and is requesting documents from the state. An assembly member recently investigated hospice fraud in Southern California after suspecting that there were multiple examples. A letter that they had sent to congressional representatives earlier this month, the same day President Donald Trump convened a new task force targeting fraud, detailed the results of their independent investigation. A pair of bills introduced recently in the Ohio legislature would give the state's inspector general authority to subpoena electronic records in fraud investigations in an effort to reduce the threat of taxpayer funds being misused or stolen. Now, the Center Square contributor David Beasley reports Inspector General investigators not authorized to directly petition courts for electronic search warrants, but the Inspector General there, Randall Mayer, he said in a news conference that giving inspector generals the power to subpoena electronic records, it would allow them to obtain evidence from social media, from email, from text messages. So you could see how that could possibly lead to more insight into potential fraud. Meanwhile, voters, they want sweeping changes to address government fraud. The Center Square's Brett Rowland says polling and data for the Center Square shows voters want to see lawmakers make sweeping changes, pass new laws, and open new investigations to address long-standing problems at the state, local, and federal levels. Fresh polling reveals a bipartisan demand for sweeping reforms, with the majority of voters calling for comprehensive changes to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. A new Center Square Voters' Voice poll found 57% of registered voters believe governments need to make large systemic changes. An additional 37% said the problem could be addressed with a few new laws, changes to existing laws, and more investigations. About 7% favored only minor changes, and 4% said minor tweaks to government investigations would suffice. And finally, in Illinois, the Center Square's Jim Talamonte reports state lawmakers say Governor J.B. Pritzker is out of touch for spending major tax dollars on so-called community violence interrupters. These are nonprofit organizations that take public tax dollars and claim to go on the streets to combat younger individuals from getting into violence. The governor's proposed budget for the coming fiscal year includes $111 million for violence prevention. But that proposed budget for Illinois State Police, $477.7 million, including $2 million to hire and train 100 additional state troopers. State Representative Patrick Sheehan, who's also a police officer, said in this extreme imbalance for police recruitment and attention and retention, whenever you have $111 million going to community violence interrupters and only $2 million going to recruit new state police. Meanwhile, Pritzker was photographed with a so-called violence interrupter who was later charged in connection with a heist that turned fatal. That is America's Talking here for the Center Square Daily.